Alright everyone, it's time for Occult Literature, video number 386, The Book of Witches. This is 232 pages. This is a full-length work. Link in the description to my edition of this work on Amazon. Second and third links are to my books blogs, actually. Highly recommended. This effectively talks about everything witchcraft, from far antiquity, we're down Babylon and Assyria and so forth, all the way up through the early 20th century when this book was written. The conception of a witch over that time has changed. What doesn't change is it tends to be a bipolar figure, so it's either very beautiful, and usually in a beguiling sense, or very ugly, usually ascribed to the female. The female power, the potency, is more considered to be mysterious, and in some cases even evil. If you're looking especially at the Middle Ages, with the Hexenhammer, one of my namesakes, of course, the idea was that women were more lustful and given over towards demonism and things like that, which is funny. Now we say, well, no, men are the passionate ones that are more like hyped up on sex, pheromones, and stuff. Back then, they thought it was women. They assumed they were the lustful ones, always tempting man like Eve in the garden. Very good work overall. It talks about witches in fiction. There's a similarity and overlap with the alleged non-fiction treatments, again, like the Maleficarum and things like that, with fictional accounts, at least up until this period. Of course, this is before the Disneyfication of witches. The original Snow White was not the same as the one that you saw in the theater. To be clear, there's a big difference between the Teutonic folklore and the Disney version. But then if you've seen their Hercules, you probably already understand this. Just saying. Sleeping Beauty and some of these other stories. Jack and the Beanstalk. Excellent work. Goes back to the oracles and the witches of ancient times, and it's funny because a lot of people think about like the burning times as the dawn of like leftoids, the ones that hold up signs that say, "We're the granddaughters of the witches you failed to burn," which is like, now your grandparents were by and large religious Christians. Your great-grandparents in the Victorian era probably delved into the occult. Probably didn't use the term witches though. They called themselves mystics or were delving into theosophy. Again, a lot of male-centric dominated magic at the time, although the Theosophists were certainly branching out because Blavatsky happened to have a vagina. Other than that, Steiner left for a reason. Let's just put it that way. Hint, hint. If you go back, though, in antiquity, especially with the Roman laws, actually witchcraft was spurned, although they kept it separate as far as black and white magic, and the Catholics to an extent did this as well. When we look at the burning times, the Protestants are like, nope, you're all witches, you're all dying. In some Catholic circles, there were two things that were promoted. First, pure white witchcraft, like, hey, I'm doing spells, but all I do is heal people. I'm giving you an herb for your migraine. That was okay, according to the Catholics, for the most part during that period, although there were still bulls and pogroms and so forth. White witchcraft was ignored, by and large. It was not prosecuted as much. It's sort of like if you look at pre-legalization marijuana laws in Vermont. It's illegal, but you're not going to get arrested. They might take your weed and your pipe and crack it in half, but they're not going to throw you in jail. They got better things to do. It's still illegal. Please keep it on the low. Please just don't brag about the fact that you're a witch in public, and continue to heal local children when they have a runny nose and shit. That's number one. That white witchcraft was seen as fine. And the other thing was, they said, like, for every wizard, there's 1,000 witches. Wierus and a few of these other writers were like, hey, women are more silly and given over to delusions, and the devil beguiles them more easily. We shouldn't punish them with death. They should just be like whipped and humiliated. The men you can kill. This was actually a thing at the time in some circles. Of course, it didn't transfer over to the Protestants in Salem and similar places. Interesting work. Again, Salem, the burning times, modern-day witchcraft, voodoo, and so forth, being anthropologically studied in the early 20th century and late 18th. Those are in here in the last chapter. It goes all the way from far antiquity, so again, Syria and way before, like even ancient Rome, all the way up to the modern day. Highly recommended. It is folkloric and religious history. But it does have a section on love philters and so forth that has specific spells in it. So if you want some incantations, they are there. If you happen to be a more literalistic practitioner, other than Wierus, who leaves out some of the names and terms and figures in order to prevent people from replicating the black magic that he was speaking about. Probably saved him from having his head torn off or his flesh by red-hot pinchers. They were doing things like that at the time. It wasn't a pretty moment in human history. That's about all. Peace out.